ROPER. Well brought down by ROPER. ROPER now onto the reverse stick shot. Gets it! Oh, what a finish! Phil ROPER with an absolute rocket on the reverse stick.
Welcome back to the Athlete Podcast. Today we're joined by Phil ROPER, who is a Team GB hockey player and two-time Olympian. It's lovely to have you here with us today, Phil. How are you?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's absolutely all of our pleasure, honestly.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to talk about today is your career. Obviously, as an Olympian, it's very illustrious. A little bit about what your day-to-day life looks like, training, nutrition, how you spend time outside of hockey, and what you enjoy. And then we're going to go sort of the last part. We'll delve into what becoming a hockey player is like in terms of a career. What sort of suggestions you'd have for people.
Sounds great.
So where we'll start is, what age did you begin playing?
So both of my parents played hockey from a they've played for 20, 30, 40 years. So basically, as soon as we were young enough, me and my brother and sister, old enough to hold a stick, then we were on the side of a pitch watching them play every Saturday afternoon. It's lucky that hockey's quite like a social sport because you learn from a young age that there's big family clubs. You're down there making friends, just playing around, and I think it's pretty easy to fall in love with the sport from there.
Yeah, and so you joined the same club that your parents were playing at, and okay.
Yeah, so it's just down the road. It's Chester Hockey Club.
Okay, perfect. So it's sort of like the sort of community that forms around a cricket club in an area, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Apart from maybe less beer.
No, well, I think still quite a lot of beer for many players. I think one of the big pulls from when people play hockey is that they, there's a big social aspect in the fact that you finish your game, you want to go and socialise with the team, you go and grab a drink, watch maybe another game, and really make it something that you look forward to every Saturday. It's not just about the playing aspect. There's a bigger element, which I always think is a nice thing.
Okay, and so what's one thing that you can remember from your early days when you started, not even training, just sort of playing as a hobby?
Yeah, I love the fact that it can be such a skillful sport. So my passion has always been dribbling, like learning to master the art of dribbling and making sure that you can almost express yourself through hockey, which I've always thought is a super cool thing to do.
Okay. And so, what does the timeline look like from when you start? You begin training. Obviously, it's not as
professional.
What's the word? Yeah. It's not as robust, let's say, of a schedule that you've got. But you're training, you go and you're practicing things with a lot of other people at your age. When do you start competing in leagues and whatnot?
So I think it was a bit more messy back then, but you start just playing. I think you just start I could play for Cheshire from maybe under 12s or something like that. You can play for your club from maybe when you're 8, but you're playing an under 13 league every Saturday. So I remember that, and you just having fun with your friends at the same time as just loving what you do, and I think that's the biggest thing. And then it really helped that my dad showed me the Olympic Games when I was 8 years old and told me about Team GB, and for some reason that stuck with me really deeply, and that's basically all I wanted to do then.
We had a chat about that before we came into this room. So what Olympics was that you ended up watching?
Sydney, I think. Sydney 2000. I'm showing my age there.
Okay. And so did Team GB do well?
I don't even think they did well. I think it was just the fact that I remember being sat in front of the TV. You see the stadium, you see the passion, the fans, how excited people are for the Olympics. Then there's the pull around this unity around Team GB.
Yeah, exactly.
And something stuck with me. I don't know what it was, but something stuck with me.
It's the lights, the camera, and the action, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people that have come through here, or a lot of the athletes, they said they've had a similar moment with London 2012. They said that was exactly the same. It's different when it's a home games, obviously, because the buzz around it was crazy.
Yeah.
And even I can remember it, and I'm practically a baby. But when you look up to that, what was sort of? You were only very, very young when you saw that. When you know, did you continually think about that? Because it takes a lot of discipline to keep your mind focused on that one goal after seeing it at a young age.
Yeah, I can't really remember. I think I must have always kept it in the back of my mind. Maybe it wasn't in the forefront, but I always remember just how much I loved all sports. I loved being competitive. Yeah. Played all sorts of sports, like with my brother and sister and friends, but hockey was always the one that like I maybe took the most seriously, spent the most time doing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like growing, and then you're starting to, I was starting to really, I guess, follow my passion the older I got. Yeah. So, yeah.
And so how did that flower sort of blossom coming into your teenage years? What did that look like? Were you sort of spending time at the gym, spending more time training? I
think I just spent Chester is like a really nice club, but it's not like a really high flying club. Yeah. So, I could only train once a week and play on the weekends. So I found myself a lot like looking for extra opportunities. It was lucky that like we had an AstroTurf pitch that I could access, a 5-minute run away from my house. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the times I'd be running down to the Astro to play on my own. Yeah. I'd be, going on runs. I don't think I introduced myself to the gym too much back then, but definitely just like trying to, I guess, like learn your craft, like work out what you love about it. Yeah. And I don't really know what made me do it, but just knowing that I wanted to get better, knowing that there was quite a clear path of like, you could play for your club and then your county, and then you could play for your region, and then after that you would start getting scouted by the England coaches for like, say, an under 16 camp. Okay. And I always knew that was the path, and that I would try and
get it was like the golden ticket getting into the one of the camps. Yeah. So how at this point, we might be skipping forward a tiny bit, but at the age of 16, did you get into a camp then?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And so it must be pretty serious, at that time. Yeah. You go into a camp, you're competing, you're training. I mean, you might even be just going in your spare time, as you said, going to master your craft. How do you balance this sort of passion and then school, and at 16 you've got exams and things like that, and a social life too?
Yeah. I can't remember it being like crazy difficult. Like it wasn't like a really big schedule. It was normally like camp based. So we'd go away for maybe a few days. You'd make the first cut, and then you'd train again, and you were aiming towards like playing in a under 16 Europeans or something like that. And I just remember that like still having fun with my friends, still going to school. Like school was, like in a fairly enjoyable experience still, but like knowing that I always loved the fact that I could have something extra that I could really like pursue. Yeah. And I think I found that so super early that maybe I was like really lucky to do that. Yeah. Because a lot of kids don't have that, like, I'm trying to always push people to find their passion. You don't know what it is, but if you're following it, then life's going to be a lot easier for you.
Oh yeah, because you don't feel like you're working on something then,
exactly,
do you? Yeah. But even then, at the age of 16, it takes a lot of mental fortitude and discipline to stick with something. Did you not have maybe knockbacks or setbacks that sort of strayed you from that path and made you think, oh, whoa? Yeah. Or was it just straight, like a dog chasing cars?
I've always had a thing, I think there's a bit split there. Like I've always had a thing where I just have been super motivated to like, I love chasing the ball around. I'm like still like a kid at heart. Like if you want to say, do you want to go and have a kick around or like play some cricket or play some hockey, I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. It doesn't matter like the standard. And there's definitely like some differences there with like, some athletes are just there to compete and win. I'll kind of like play for fun at the same time. Yeah. But there's always them moments where like when I was 17, I think I didn't get an England under 18 trial. You have that setback. You're trying to, work out why. You're trying to learn from it. Like, I think it's always teaching you like to be resilient, to keep going. Like, but you're obviously always going to have these moments of like lows or like believing that you're maybe not good enough. Everyone has that voice in their head. Like, Everyone does, but it's how you react to that voice is the key. Is what I've learned over the years.
Yeah, and so we spoke about this a little bit earlier with when you were not selected for Rio 2016, and that must have been a big knockback for you. But you said that you got over it because coming up to Tokyo 2020, although as everyone knows, it wasn't exactly the smoothest run up to the 2020 Olympics, but it released sort of any reservations or fear that you had from not being selected because it had already happened before.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. So like being I got selected for the program like 3 years before Rio.
Yeah.
And then I was in and out of the team. I think I was so engrossed with the fact that I wanted so deeply to go to the Olympics that I lost myself a little bit in the fact that like I was maybe trying to be someone who I thought the coaches wanted me to be. I was trying to just focus on the wrong thing, maybe not believing in myself quite enough, not having the confidence to be myself. And then when I got the D selection, it was really difficult, but the thing I reflected on almost instantly was like, well, why don't I just try and be myself more, like go out there. I've already missed out now, so why not I just do myself, know that my skills, I'm going to go and play my own game, and whether that's good enough or not, I know that like that'll be me putting myself out there, and I can look back and say, okay, I've been myself. And I think from like 2017 onwards, that's how I approached it. It wasn't as important to me as it was before because it freed me up to play myself, the way I wanted to play the game. And luckily enough, that was good enough for the next few years to play, to be a part of the team that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then that leads to, you know, being happier in myself, being happy with my game, leading to just more success being picked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you've not just spent your time on the pitch as a teammate, but also a captain. What sort of qualities do you think that you possessed at that time that made you stand out from other options to become the leader of the team?
If I'm honest, at the time I wasn't really sure. I had a lot of imposter syndrome about that, which was difficult. But I think reflecting on it, I think I've got a strong work ethic and a desire to win, which I think is probably a fairly good leadership quality to have.
Yeah.
And I enjoy aspects of like culture in a group and making sure that the culture is strong. And I always am fairly passionate about doing that. So I think maybe them three qualities combined gave me maybe that ability to lead the team.
Well, I mean, you did have an ability because during you were 2017 to 2018, right? But in that stint, you'd actually taken them to was it a bronze medal at the European Championships?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Not necessarily from a captain's perspective, but the entire championship, because for a lot of people that may not know how a tournament or a league works, what is the setup of one of those?
So most hockey tournaments are like international hockey tournaments are really short and sharp. So you play, for example, the Europeans, you play 5 games in 7 days. You play your group stage, and then you go straight through to a semi-finals and final if you make the top 2 of your group. So it's really intense. Europe is a really, really strong continent for hockey. They've got some of the best countries playing in the world, and it's a mix between being able to bounce back very quickly. You could lose on the first game and still go and win the tournament. You can, you have to be able to have the fitness to be able to back repeat your hockey's a very high intensity game, so being able to do that again and again, and then lastly, like stay, along with all of the tactics and like having the quality, is staying together as a team and like being able to like even in hard moments where there's big crowds who are against you and you might go down a goal, being able to constantly like be resilient enough to pick yourself up, puff your chest out and keep playing.
I mean it's sort of like a run of the gauntlet then towards the end. Okay, so going forward again, we've got the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you've been to 3, correct?
Yeah.
So, and are you a bronze medalist at Commonwealths?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so which games was that then?
All 3 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay. I missed that one. Okay.
No, so Glasgow, and then the Gold Coast in Australia, and then Birmingham.
So Glasgow is 2014.
Yeah.
And then Gold Coast 2018, Birmingham 2022. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so, had you competed in any sort of stage? I mean, it's not the world stage,
Yeah.
but it certainly does encompass quite a large part of the world. Had you competed on a stage that big where the talent pool was so wide before?
Not really, no. That like that 2014 Commonwealth was my first experience of like a bigger pool, or like a really intense, like enjoyable competition. And like you know, in hockey nations terms, there's some really strong nations compete still. You got India, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. So like you definitely, the competition is fairly stiff.
Yeah, I bet. You
know, and it's an incredibly like fun tournament to play in. You know, it's a multi-sport game, so it kind of replicates a mini version of the Olympics. So it's an excellent way of kind of like getting that mindset right for 2 years' time when you might be playing an Olympic game.
Exactly. And then, I mean, it's game time then. 2 years to the Olympics, you're looking at the selection process and playing the best you can, turning up for the team.
Yeah.
So, in the run-up to the Olympics, let's say we won't focus on the whole 2 years. That's quite a lot to talk about. But maybe in the 6 months leading up to it, what does your day-to-day life look like?
So it definitely starts ramping up. Like we train, 4 or 5 hockey sessions in a week. We do 2 gym sessions. We have normally video meetings. We normally have there's an array of support that we're like lucky enough to get. So we have S&C coaches. We have nutritionists. We have lifestyle advisors, which is quite funky but really, really useful. We've got psychologists, obviously our normal hockey coaches.
Yeah.
So you have to mix up, you might have individual meetings with a nutritionist, you might have team meetings with the coaches. It can really vary day to day.
Yeah.
But like you're trying to fix all of that into a week, and everything is geared at individually and collectively making you better for that, for that event in the Olympics.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that there's 30 to 35 of us in a team, in a squad, and then only 16 go to the Olympics. So like also there's like a added element of this is like everyone's training super hard, but you know that half the team aren't going to make it.
It's sort of like a fight or flight
and
type thing. You're
also really good friends with the team, there's incredible friendships that you bond over, and you're like got a good team culture. But you have to, it's where push comes to shove, and the biggest time that everyone's dreaming and training and working towards, people are going to have this disappointment, and there's also success.
I mean, I wouldn't wish that on any captain trying to keep morale up with that sort of knockout going on. It's not that it's unfair. It's just difficult. It's a lot of strain to put on the team. Yeah, that makes sense. So, let's talk about the Olympics now that we're there. We'll go first of all to Tokyo. When you first got to the Olympics, how were you feeling? Was it all a bit surreal, or?
It was surreal. It was crazy because of the hurdles that everyone had to jump through with wearing a mask all the time, and there's no fans. And Team GB, and I think the Olympics did an incredible job. It's still making it special. Yeah, still like having a really like amazing experience of it. But it was definitely so different to the next one, because you're a bit stuck in not being able to do as much, and you go into the most special event in your life, and then there's no one watching you, which is also like lots of contradictions. But it was an amazing thing. Like it was more the feeling of being on the plane. Representing Team GB always make you feel super special and part of something more than just a hockey team. They make you feel like you're part of something collective. Which is amazing.
That's the sort of message that they put across via their social media and all the different channels that they have across the UK. And but you've seen both sides of it now. You've competed in the Olympics in a completely sterile environment, shall we say?
Yeah, good.
But
word.
also, you have competed in Paris 2024.
Yeah,
and that must have been wild because
it was. I think Paris was they it was just the experience that I dreamed of early on.
That you envision it as.
You get all of this amazing, like you're in this little bubble with the village, and you're like, there's lots of really cool little like intricacies and cool things to do in the Olympics. You're surrounded by people at the pinnacle of their games. You're just like rubbing shoulders with really cool people. You're being treated, like everything is performance related. So there's facilities for everything. Yeah, and then you're also trying to take all that in, enjoy it, and perform at the same time. So exactly. It was incredible. I mean, the ending wasn't very good, like crashing out in the quarterfinals. Yeah. But like being reflecting on it, it was an amazing experience, and I'm glad I can still take the enjoyment out of it.
But I mean, even then, you must see people at the Olympics, at the Commonwealths, the maybe not so much the Worlds, but or the European Championships in hockey, but the Commonwealths and the Olympics, you must see people from different walks and different disciplines and things like that you don't get to see very often. No. And you must have, I mean, you might have quite a bit of time to spend, I mean, in the food hall.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about this food hall, and I need the answers.
Go on.
Is it true that they have an unlimited amount? First of all, an unlimited amount of food. You can go and take. It's 24/7, straight up. Yeah. But is there a McDonald's?
There wasn't.
There wasn't?
No.
Okay.
Which is disappointing.
Well, on many levels.
Yeah. The really cool thing that like you don't want to like sound like you're showing off, but like everything is free. Like you cannot like you can walk anywhere at any time and you will be able to find like the food was slightly disappointing in France, like to be honest, but that was well reported. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But like for example, there's coffee stations everywhere. Just go and get yourself like a flat white. Yeah. There's snack stations everywhere. Go and get yourself like whatever you need. And then Team GB also like put on extra locations around, like so you can leave the village and we could go to a specific Team GB location where they had incredible food and incredible recovery facilities and like stuff for us. So like you're just made to feel like
royalty.
It's a special time that that you're not, it's incredibly rare.
Yeah, it's fleeting, isn't it? It's 2 weeks every 4 years. Yeah. And you have to be at your best to get to it too. Yeah. Everyone that's there deserves it. Yeah. There's absolutely no argument. I mean, some people come home from the Olympics with some crazy, not even a medal. Yeah. But I can't remember if it was 2020. I'm sure it was though. But a lot of the athletes came home from 2020 with a Samsung Note 9 or something like that. They had a brand new phone and it had like the Olympics on the back of it and everything, and they got all these plushy things and that. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, we did also get a phone this time.
Oh really? Okay.
We also got the new Samsung Flip something,
and that was also the vertical one
engraved with the Olympics on.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, like I say, you do feel incredibly like lucky, blessed. Yeah. Like we got a toothbrush in Tokyo for no apparent reason. This really good toothbrush. It's something that you have to soak it all in because it is over in a flash, and you enjoy. Like you've got to enjoy it because you are there for your sport. You are there, but like also like you'd be remiss to not sit back and soak it all up.
Exactly. You're there seeing things that so many people, even athletes, would never even get the chance to get a look in on, and it is a privilege. Yeah. But everyone that's there, has worked hard and they've gone through. It's grueling.
Yeah. Everyone's on their own journey, their own path, and like nothing's simple. Nothing's given to you on a plate. Like you've got to work for it. I think.
Not even McDonald's.
Not even
they
McDonald's.
Won't even give you McDonald's.
Yeah. They did have great chocolate muffins, I have to say.
I've heard about. Do you know what? I heard about these. They were all over LinkedIn. I think it was because someone tracked down the supplier, and then they brought the chocolate muffins to their cake shop or their cafe or something in New York, and they went wild.
They were
Everyone was
good.
going crazy. Were they that good?
They were good.
Okay. Okay.
There was obviously hype to that, but they were good muffins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
on the topic of chocolate muffins and nutrition and things like that, I bet it's difficult, first of all, when you're in the athlete village and you've got this big food hall and there's all these different temptations and there's people that are finishing their sports and their events and things like that, maybe on the first, second, third day,
Yeah.
and they're there for another maybe week or so, or I mean, they might not be kept there, but you know, they might have or even like a gap between when they're competing, and they can sort of lay off a little bit. So what does nutrition look like for you? What are your regular meals?
So firstly, I have got a couple of young children, so like
Yeah.
that also makes nutrition slightly a little bit more complicated, but it's not too much. There's definitely a balance that I find is important between being happy and eating really clean. So what that looks like for me is a lot of the time it's eating wrong at the right times.
Okay.
So I tend to, all of our nutrition is based around recovery. So it's like how you recover from training, how you recover from games, how you make sure that you're ready to go for the next thing coming up. Mm-hmm. So always making sure that, you know, like you've got the protein after games. I think all it is that you're not going to perform your best. You're going to get tired earlier. You're going to, like, maybe if you're going to peak and then you're just going to fall off a cliff. Whereas you really want to hold that steady, amount of energy that you can expend. Across the whole time that you're playing.
Which, I mean, it's true for just about everything in sport. People that are starting, it's all about this discipline and keeping the machine, you know, the cogs moving and keeping everything well oiled and greased up and things like that. So in terms of maybe people that are looking to get into hockey, I know it's in the school curriculum, so a lot of children will be quite familiar with it. I'm not sure if it's in primary. It's more secondary that I did it, at least. But a lot of people will be familiar with it. It's quite a simple sport, really. At the face of it, at least, before you get into the nitty-gritty of things. What sort of message would you have to someone that enjoys it, maybe, but isn't sure where to start?
I mean, there's a whole lot of hockey clubs out there. I know that they're incredibly popular wherever you are. So I like you've already touched on, it's very accessible. All you need is someone can definitely lend you a stick and a ball and get down to your local Astro and keep going. People, you know, the England hockey have done a good job of like making a pathway very obvious. So all you need to do is get down to your local club, and I think that's the best way to do it. Like you said, if it's already in the curriculum, it's obviously a good way to test it out, see if you like it. But definitely, I'd say the club system is the way to go. Okay,
and so what? I'd like to extend that sort of to some aspiring athletes that are younger, maybe someone that's in university, maybe running at books and things like that.
Yeah.
What message would you have for someone that aspires to compete at the level that you do?
There's just a nice combination of passionate and work ethic, and knowing that you know it's not always going to go right. I think this is the biggest thing that you try and push, is that success doesn't go in a straight line. It takes a lot of ups and downs, and being resilient enough to deal with the blows and the setbacks in a positive, optimistic way. Because
absolutely,
we're not, you know, if you stand and say, oh, I didn't make my team, I didn't make the books second team or first team or whatever,
it's not sustainable.
No, you're just going to get into like a negative maybe spiral. Whereas if you say, okay, what can I do to be more successful, to be happier, I think everything is surrounded by, like, you know, loving what you do and working towards a goal.
Absolutely. Wow, that is a perfect note to end it on. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's been great. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everyone for listening, watching, and we hope to see you all for the next episode. Bye.